Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 7 on the Angry Dave podcast. This is Angry Dave, and I'm with my next guest, Lady Finger, Lucky, Lala. I'm not sure what to call her, but she is my wife, and her real name is Lora. Laura, say hello.
Hi, everybody.
Laura, why don't you tell everybody how we met?
We met in our freshman year of college. We were next door neighbors in the dorm. I didn't know that Dave could speak English, so I just kind of ignored him. Sometimes I said "hola" in the hall and still didn't get an answer. I had a really bad habit of leaving my keys in the door because I wasn't a door locker growing up. Our door was always open. So I had a habit of leaving my keys in the door, and he would knock on the door and throw the keys in. And one day he said, "Here's your keys," and I was shocked and awed that he could speak English.
What made you think that I did not speak English?
Oh, you were little and quiet, and you had a lot of silk shirts and Bosch jeans and Cavaricis.
I didn't have Cavaricis, Laura.
You might as well have. Yeah.
I know you have lots of Angry Dave stories, so maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. But why don't you tell everybody you were born in August of 1976, correct?
Correct.
In Erie, Pennsylvania.
That's right.
Tell us about how your early childhood was like.
I don't really remember most of it. I was I grew up in Erie where there's a whole lot of snow, but there's a beach. So I remember playing outside in the snow. I remember going to the beach a lot. I had a little brother. I still have a little brother who's 3 years younger than me, and we were pretty inseparable. We spent a lot of time with our cousins. We spent a lot of time with our grandparents.
What was your first memory? You have a first memory?
I do. We lived in a trailer when I was first born. Before my brother was born, we lived in a trailer, and I remember taking one of those plastic Tonka trucks, the kind that you could take the wheels off, and I just remember running it back and forth on the plaid sofa. And I remember probably around the same time eating popsicles with my mom on the kitchen floor. So just those kind of like snapshot memories were my earliest ones.
Yeah. How about your best memory of like your early childhood?
I have no answer. My best memory from early childhood would probably be playing out in the snow. Especially my parents would come out and play in the snow with us. My dad loved to play in the snow. So I guess those huge snowstorms that you get there where there's just several feet of snow on the ground and being outside and playing.
How was life like back then, just from a home standpoint?
I mean, I'm so good at not remembering bad things. So I just remember there's a playful house. We joked around a lot. We played a lot of like kids' games, board games, hide and go seek, freeze tag, those kind of things. So when I was really, really little, I remember just being a really playful, fun family
And then your parents got divorced at what age?
when I was 8.
Tell us about that time after that, those next few years. How was that?
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but I really don't remember them. I remember going back and forth between my mom and dad's house. I remember spending a lot of time, again, with my grandparents, with my aunts and uncles. I think that everybody made sure that my brother and I didn't feel, like, weird. People didn't get divorced back then. It was the early '80s. So my parents are like the pioneers of getting divorced. Nobody knew really what to do or what to do with the kids. So I think that people just took us and tried to do good things with us and made sure that we felt loved and we felt just appreciated and seen.
How was your relationship with your brother during those times?
We were very close. We did fight a lot because we were stressed out. We'd fist fight. We were mean to each other. But I think that at the end of every day, we would, like, again, we'd play, we'd talk, we'd have a good time.
You have any crazy stories where you tried to physically harm your brother in a serious manner?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we would punch each other. He stabbed me one time. He stabbed me with a pen. I still have a scar. One time I slammed his hands in the door or he slammed my hands in the door. I think I put him out in the cold, maybe in his underpants, and he slammed my hand in the door. And it was brutal. We were brutal with each other.
What was it like being Laura's parent when you were a middle schooler?
Awful. I mean, I think it's still probably hard to be my parent
Why is that?
because I'm impossible. I don't know if you've ever hung out with me before, but the rules are always changing. What I like, what I don't like, what I can tolerate or not tolerate. I think that my parents, they did the best they could with what they had, but I didn't make it easy on them, and I didn't because I'm not the easiest to be around.
This might be the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, this podcast, and having this on tape. Um, so tell us about moving into high school. What were you like during high school?
Um, I think I was hilarious. All my friends thought I was so funny. I had a good group of friends. We were really supportive of each other. We were all good kids. We didn't drink, we didn't do drugs, we didn't smoke cigarettes. We were all playing sports or um, either playing sports or doing homework or group projects or just hanging out. Some of my friends drove, so we would just drive around and listen to music, and that was really nice. So we were good students. We were good friends.
How about your home life? What was that like?
Just weird, again, back and forth between my moms. I didn't really stay home very much. I slept as with friends as often as I could. I worked a job. I had track practice. Home was just kind of like a place to keep your stuff more than anything else.
Yeah. How about your relationship with your brother at that point?
The same. We'd fight a lot. We'd hang out sometimes, but we were pretty separate. He had he and I didn't have too much in common when I was in high school. And, as we got older, we kinda figured out what each other was doing, even though we were sometimes living in the same house under the same roof. Like, we didn't really know what was going on with each other because we were just kind of in survival mode, trying to get through, stay good in school. We got along mostly, but not always.
And how about your relationship with your parents around that time?
Not good. I mean, they were they were doing the best they could to keep it all together. I think, my parents were young when they had us. By the time they got divorced, I think I was like they were probably 27, like, they were just kids, so they're kinda building their lives then, and, they both got remarried, they both had, stepkids and their careers. So I can't really say, I don't really remember. I wasn't on my own, I definitely had their support, but, yeah, I can't really say.
And what were you like then as a child? Were you easy to deal with?
In high school?
Yeah.
No, I've never been easy to deal with. I'm 46 I'm almost 47 years old, I'm still hard to deal with.
Any crazy high school stories, anything like that, where you like shot a dog or anything?
I absolutely never. One thing about me is I play it safe all the time. I don't think I've ever done anything crazy. One time I snuck out of the house and that lasted like 3 hours. My mom found out where I was and came and got me. Um, One time my friends and I we jumped in the lake in Lake Erie in our underpants, but that was like a bathing suit. So there's absolutely not we didn't do anything crazy.
No, you don't have any like your friend got stabbed 7 times stories?
No.
All right.
No, we
I guess you're
none
my
of my
friend.
friends had one time my friend dyed her hair purple. That might have been literally the most edgy thing for Lollapalooza. There's nothing going. I stayed away. Anybody who seemed like trouble or seemed like they would get me in trouble, I stayed away from them because I knew that when I turned 18 years old, I wanted to get out. I couldn't have anything keeping me back.
If you were to be your parents and could change anything about that time, how would you have done it differently?
If I was my parents,
Yeah. If you could have did something differently, make it better.
I mean, yeah, I can't say enough. They did, I think, the best that they could. I just think that they were young. I don't think that they were, um, I think that they were immature. I think just maybe paying a little bit more attention to the signs that kids aren't happy.
Got it.
And not like having faith that it'll just get better or saying like, oh, and I do this with my own kids, like, oh, this is normal. They're gonna get through it. I think really paying attention, really, like, digging into asking how you're feeling, "What'd you do this day?"
Yeah, and it's hard, especially when you got 2 families and a career and you're young.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think that they prioritized us, but I think that at some moments their best wasn't good enough.
Yeah. All right. So you graduate high school in 1994, and what do you do next?
Uh, go to the furthest, cheapest college that I could find in Pennsylvania. I grew up. Pennsylvania is a pretty big state. Erie's in the furthest northwest corner of the state. So I looked at all of the state schools, which I knew I could afford, even if I had to pay for it on my own. And I found the one that was the furthest southeast, and that was Westchester University. So I packed up everything I had and a bunch of I didn't even have real boxes. I worked at Baskin Robbins at the time and I took the sugar cone boxes. So everything I brought to college was in these little square sugar cone boxes. And I moved into a college dorm in a college where I didn't know anybody. I'd never even heard of it really. A lot of my teachers had never heard of it. So that's
Why
where I landed.
why was it important for you to get away?
I just wanted a fresh start. I wanted to see like what I could do on my own. I again, I wasn't on my own in high school, but I wanted to see what it would be like to really, really be like away. My grandmother, who was amazing and really encouraged me to go to college, she said, just go away. Just you can do whatever you want. Just go away to college, and that would be uh, that's how you get free. Like as a woman, as a young person, as an adult.
Let's talk about your grandma just a little bit and just about uh, your relationship with her and a little bit about her life because I think it's a little bit interesting and different from a lot of people.
Yeah, so my grandmother went to college. She was born in 1914. Her dad was a college professor, so it wasn't really a choice. So she grew up um, kind of like Footloose, the movie Footloose, no drinking, no dancing, no drugs, no music, no fun, no nothing. You went to school and then you came home. And so education was really, really important to her. And I was the only granddaughter. She has three sons, and she had all grandsons and me. So she really stressed it to me that the way that a woman can be successful is by getting educated and being sure that you had your own path set out. She didn't believe in getting married young. She didn't have her kids until she was over 30, I think. So she didn't want anybody getting married, any woman getting married young. She wanted you to have your education, have your career, and then consider maybe getting married.
When you took me home in 1995, how did she feel about that?
Oh, she hated it. She hated that you were Catholic, she hated that you were Italian, she hated that you were even in my life because it was a threat to education through to my college career and then eventually my graduate school career, and then, I think she was terrified that we would get married and have babies.
Yeah. How about your grandfather? Let's talk about him a little bit.
He was the opposite. He loved dancing, he loved music, he was just wanted to make sure that I was having fun and appreciating kind of the smaller, finer things in life. I think he liked you.
Well, yeah, I think he liked that I like jazz.
He liked that you liked jazz. He loved jazz.
Um,
Um, and he thought, he always told me that I'm gonna have to make my own choices eventually. When I was little, um, if I would say, "Oh, do you dare me to jump out of this tree? Do you dare me to whatever?" He would say, "Well, it's your choice. It doesn't matter what I think." So I think that that kind of continued with my relationship with you, that I'd have to make my own choice of what I was gonna do, and he trusted me that I would make the right decisions.
yeah, so your grandmother never really had much of a relationship with me. She was never mean to me, but she made it known several times that there were other people that were sort of better.
Yeah, I could have done a lot better.
Yeah. But your grandfather was always very sweet to me. We would talk about jazz, and he would very nice to me. And I think you know this. When he was dying, he was in the home, and he pulled me in. The last time I saw him, he pulled me in and whispered to me, and made me promise that I would take care of you. So I thought that was a very sweet thing, and I don't want to forget to say that because it was very nice. And he also made sure to let me know that you were a virgin when we got married that day, and to be very gentle with you.
That's right.
She told me to be very
Yeah,
gentle.
and you were.
I was very gentle.
Yeah. He told you I might not be ready that night, and I was tired that night. No consummating the marriage on our first wedding night.
No, we both went to sleep. That's hysterical. Yeah, but he thought his granddaughter was very innocent,
It was.
Yes, always. There you go. All right. So, all right, you come to Westchester. Tell me about your experience in Westchester.
It was great. We were, I mean, we met like the third day, right? So we kind of always had the same friends. We had a great little group of friends. We had the classes that we had were easy enough that I think that I could do well in college and still have a social life and still get out and have fun. It was just nice to be out. Like, being independent for me was so relaxing. I didn't have to worry about anybody. I didn't have to answer to anybody. I could just kind of come and go as I pleased. And that was it was really nice to have that. It was nice to have like you next door in the dorms, and your roommate, Frank, was like our little buddy. And um, just having a good set of friends and that freedom was just really, really like restorative and healing and relaxing for me.
So, when you attacked me in your dorm room and kissed me, why did you do that?
I don't remember that.
No. Uh, do you remember me saying that I didn't realize that you cared? And you said, and you pulled my head back and said, "Are you serious?"
I do remember that. I remember
Uh,
a lot of that.
okay. All right. So, I mean, are you a date rapist? I'm just asking.
I was a date rapist. I didn't ask for consent. I didn't say, "Hey, is it okay if I kiss you?" And but it was the '90s. You didn't have to do that kind of thing.
Well, girls didn't, that's for sure.
No, no way.
Because the boys got talked to at nauseum. Don't rape your girlfriend,
Yeah,
And I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified.
I'm scary.
All right, so we graduate college. People that have listened to the podcast know, we moved back into the city and went to grad school, and then eventually we get a house and have kids. Tell me about that period of time after we leave Westchester, coming to Philly. What's your impression of that time of our life?
No, that was the best. I mean, no, not it gets better over time. Life gets better, but we couldn't have had a better 20s, I don't think. Um, we were in school. We had friends that way. We had friends that I worked with at the bar, and we kind of had the run of this town. It was back then in the early 2000s. Philadelphia was safe enough that you could run around all night long and not feel like you were going to get assaulted or stuck up or anything like that. And there's just so many places to go, so many fun bars and so many fun little holes in the wall and hideouts. It was great. I don't think that anybody ever had as much fun in their 20s as we did.
Any crazy stories that you want to share from our 20s?
Mhm. I mean, the good Angry Dave story I have is, sometimes we'd have these nights out that would last until the next morning.
Oh boy, go for it.
You know what the story this is gonna be?
I have no idea.
Well, sometimes, especially when you're working till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you go out with your friends and you think you're gonna have a drink and a sandwich or something, and then you leave and the sun is up. So I thought, oh wow, I was out really late and I was still hungry, so I stopped and got us some sandwiches. And um, I came home and you were not happy. You were not happy that I was out all night, and I was probably more drunk than I remember being.
You were very drunk.
Uh-huh, and I tried to give you a sandwich that I lovingly bought for you,
Uh-huh.
and, it just I don't know what happened, but eventually the sandwich ended up being just, I think, lobbed lightly.
Lob lightly, huh?
Mhm. And, some lettuce and some tuna fish stuck to the wall, and as long as we lived in that apartment, I left that lettuce and tuna fish on. It was disgusting. It was, like, congealed and hard, and they probably had to scrape it off with a plaster scraper,
Yeah.
just as a reminder that, I did something really nice for you that night, and you just
Right.
didn't appreciate it.
Yeah. So if everybody wants to know the other half of the story, it's I started to try to reach out to Laura. We had cell phones at the time at about 3 o'clock in the morning just to see where she was, and I never heard from him, and I was terrified. And I did start going around the center city with a butcher knife.
Oh, how many times did you go around town with a knife? Because I didn't. That phone is for my convenience, not for your convenience.
Jesus Christ. Um, and yes, I was very upset, and I yelled at her, and I threw the tuna fish sandwich. But what she forgets to tell you is that after I threw the tuna fish sandwich at her, she hit me about 72 times.
Well, I got you that sandwich out of love.
And then the end of that story, because really, in all honesty, the only time we ever got physical with each other in all these years is I tried to block her, and I wind up hitting her in the face, not hard, but then Laura was hammered, and she started crying. I can't believe you hit me. I can't believe you hit me. So I was upset, and I felt bad because
You hit me.
I hit my drunk wife, and it was an accident. I swear to God. By the way, after I got hit about 72 fucking times, but and so I was legitimately defending myself. But the worst part of the story is that my grandmother was still alive, and my grandmother adored me, and she went and told my grandmother the next day. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I was just so upset because I got hit.
You're such an
We just
asshole.
we were probably together by then. I don't know what 7 years, maybe 8 years,
Uh-huh.
and we had never gotten in a fight before. I was just beside myself that you would dare.
Oh, you're such a sarcastic idiot. Did,
Oh,
tell her
but
what you
anyway,
told.
she took my side.
What did you tell her? What did you tell her?
I told her you hit me.
And what did she say?
I don't remember, but she probably said, "I can't believe he hit you, that
Did
son of a bitch."
She said, "Don't take his shit," is what she said.
Don't take his shit.
Yeah. All right.
But you know what? We never. How many fights have we had after almost 30 years together? We probably had 2 fights.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly never got physical with each other. I would never get physical with you. I mean, don't make me ouchie mommy you.
After I hit you 72 times, fists of fury that I have.
My God. My mother used to hit me when I really got under her skin when we were kids. And by the time I was like 13 or 14, my mom was so little that she did not hurt me, and I would just laugh at her. And the only way she would get me to stop laughing is she would tell me, "If you don't stop laughing, I'm going to tell your father." Which those punches hurt. My mom's punches did not hurt.
Mine
And
did though, right?
no, La La Lora's did not hurt either. So tell us about, we start our life with the kids in 2006 with Jacob. What's it like being a parent?
It was hard. We had an adult life for a really long time together before he was born. So it's not easy. It's not easy to have a kid at any age, I think. We were 30 and I didn't have very many friends with kids. My friends were still out there having fun and doing their thing. And so it was lonely, I think. It was hard. Jake was like a dream of a child. And once he stopped being a baby, it got better. But I don't like babies. I just don't like them. I don't like other people's babies, and even though I loved my own, I didn't like all this stuff. I didn't like losing sleep. I didn't like being bogged down. I didn't like that it took 2 hours to get out of the house every day. I was mad because my career kind of went and did a little standstill. I couldn't. Had to be a mom, and I did it well. I think I'm a really, really good mom, even for the parts I don't like doing, but it was hard.
Can you tell everybody how you trapped me into our second child?
I didn't trap you into I didn't trap you in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how to go about this, but I was getting older and not tolerating birth control pills so well. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Oh, you have a little like that with your next cycle. Let's try something else." And instead of abstaining, we,
Got at it.
yeah, and then next thing you know, I was pregnant. It was like on a it was once and done.
So I often tell people uh, in barroom conversations that I'm 2 for 2 on the unprotected sex, plopping them in route. And is that accurate?
Yes,
It is accurate, correct?
accurate, correct.
Yeah. So after we found out that Nicholas, who's sitting here with us today, that he was conceived, I said to Laura, I said, I told you didn't have to trap me, and she got very mad at me. I was
Still
half
mad.
kidding. I was half kidding, half
Still
kidding.
mad.
Um, but we're happy to have him. We love him. Was he a dream child when he was when he was a baby?
No, he was. I've never seen anything unleashed upon the world as what Nicholas could produce when he was not happy. And he's like me; the rules change all the time. You
Mhm.
never know what is going to make him happy or sad or mad. Something that just lit him up one day and made him the happiest baby in the world would just be just rage inducing the next day. So it was hard. I got what I doled out.
So tell everybody what you do for a living.
I am I'm like the Hep C lady at a local healthcare center. So I do project management, supervising the team, kind of a little bit of research. I do everything you could possibly imagine around a team of people who are so devoted to getting out into the community and finding people who are really deserving and in need of healthcare and gently bringing them in to see the doctor and make sure that they get really, really good health care. We kind of lead with hepatitis C, which is a huge problem here in Philadelphia. But really, we just want people to know that no matter what their insurance status, if they're here, if they're documented in this country, if they have money, if they don't have money, if they're living on the streets or living in the nicest home imaginable, they can come in and see a doctor and get from like top to toe care.
Has this been your favorite job of your life?
It's been my favorite team of my life. I think my favorite job of my life would probably be, waiting tables, but the team that I'm on is so dedicated and so passionate and so just, like, they come to work every single day excited to get out there and take care of people. What could be better than that, than, like, 6 faces smiling at you every single morning, excited about what they're about to do, and they're out there changing the world, and I get to kinda sit there and get them everything they need to do that.
You worked in community health for a long time, in some form or another, whether it's social work or whether it's this type of program. What is your biggest takeaway from working with all types of people?
We're all the same, no matter what we look like, no matter how we smell, no matter what we're using to kinda get us through the night, whether it's, um, I work with a lot of people who are using a lot of drugs and, that's who I'm working with right now. But when you just sit down with a person, you realize that we all have the same, not the sa to the same degree of struggle, but we all just wanna be loved, we all just wanna be cared for, and we all just wanna be seen.
Are there irredeemable people that you see?
There's people that should not be allowed in the general public. Yes, there are.
Are
There
and
are.
are most of the people that way?
No. No, very few. I mean, I've been doing social services and public health for at least 20 years now. The people that should not be, they're truly predators, they're truly not safe to have out
Right.
and about, and, I do work and with incarcerated people, so a lot of them aren't out and about, but, you hear their backstory, and they weren't born that way.
Right.
They were absolutely not born that way.
So let's talk about moving into the future. What's the next 5 or 10 years look like for Mystic Laura?
Oh, I wanna s I think I need a break from public health for a little bit. I'm thinking about getting into, like, the for-profit sector and using what I've learned about people and how to manage teams and how to support, programs and how to make budgets work for people. I think I wanna bring that into for-profit for a little while just to have a break from all the hard work that I do, because it's really stressful and it does take a toll, especially in a pandemic working in healthcare. We never got a break, everybody got to sit at home in their sweatpants for 2 years, and whether they liked it or not, they got to take a step back while we were taking 3 steps forward and pivoting every 10 minutes because our protocol and our workflow and everything had to change. So I need a break from that. I do wanna stay in the wellness fields. Another dream that I have is bringing all of the services that are available to a lot of people, who are disadvantaged, to the people who are helping those folks. So helping the helpers, nurturing the nurturers, nurturing the nurturers, and just taking care of the people that have been running themselves ragged for the past couple of years. So maybe do a little bit of that on the side and then make a decision in 2, 3, 4, 5 years whether or not I want to get back into this kind of work I do today.
So let's talk about some advice that you might have for other people. How about advice for young parents? Any advice you have?
Get support. You need help. You can't do it on your own. We're not made to be like parents in a little silo. You need a village. So if you don't live near your family or your family isn't somebody who can help you out, make a family. There's a million ways to meet people. You can meet them online. You can meet them you can take a class. You can go to the Y. If you are like a faith based person, you can go to your place of worship. Um, just get people around you. You need a night to yourself. You need a babysitter. You need help. Also, be really resilient and flexible. I know that that's not always easy, but there's 1,000 things that I said that I would never ever do when I was a parent that I do every single day now. And you can't beat yourself up about that. It starts early with like, where is this baby going to sleep? Some people are like, I never ever would have my baby in my bed with me. Well, if it helps you sleep, there's safe ways to do it. There's safe ways to formula feed. There's all sorts of things that you could do. It starts at day one of life that you just have to be flexible and kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, it's okay not to go by the book that somebody else prepared.
That's right, because your kid might not fit in that book. But also know that your kid might fit in a book. So, depression and desperation lies to you. So when you're at your lowest as a person or a parent, don't believe that you're alone in this.
Yeah, you're not.
No, you're not. Somebody else is going through it.
Tell me about any advice you might have for a young worker.
I know you had a dream, and it's good to chase that dream. When you always wanted to be a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever when you were growing up, but just be flexible and see what's out there. Because you don't really know what's out there until you get yourself into the workforce, and your calling from when you were 15 or 18 years old might not be where you are destined to be.
What do you think about college for kids, just as a one-off?
I think that we're getting out of an era where you needed to go to college. I think that we're gonna go back to, like, the trade schools. College is kind of I don't it's like high school extended right now. I think that for some things, you definitely if you wanna be a teacher, you have to get your certification. If you wanna be a doctor, you have to go to medical school. But I think for other things, look into apprenticeship, look into internships, and make a decision whether or not you need to be $100,000 in debt at 22 years old.
Yeah. What advice do you have for young married people?
Um, you're gonna change. You're going to, um, grow, hopefully grow up together, but you might not. I think that just be forgiving with the other person and communicate as much as you can. There's no reason to, like, sell yourself short to make the other person happy, especially when all that person wants for you is for you to be happy.
Yeah. What is it like being my wife?
It's fun being your wife.
What do you love most about being my wife?
I love that you let me be myself. You let me have the hobbies and like, we have nothing in common at all.
Nothing.
Absolutely 0. So and we never really have, other than the fact that we're good friends and that we have the same kind of, like, values and ethics, and, we're both driven to be good parents and have nice things. We're driven to do better than we saw while we were growing up, and we support each other in that process of breaking free of cycles, and we just we really support each other. It's fun to be your wife. It's pretty easy to be your wife, mostly. Oh, maybe we can cut that out of here so it's not on tape, but, no, it's fun, it's easy, and I feel supported, I feel loved, too loved sometimes. Me receiving love is really hard, I think, and you have a lot of love to give.
I'm just gonna keep letting you talk, really.
I know, I could talk for hours about this.
Alright,
Um,
what do you like the least about Me and my wife.
You don't really help around the house too much. The other day you said to me that you're the adult outside the house and I'm the adult inside the house, and I still haven't figured out what that means exactly, other than the fact that I do all the work around the house. But I guess outside the house, if a chore needs done, you'll do it. Like you mow the lawn. so, so maybe you can expand on what you're the adult inside the house and I'm the adult outside the house means.
I said outside the house, and this podcast is about you. It's not about me.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, how about, can you give any advice to my friends or colleagues or people that meet me on how to deal with my anger?
Just ignore it. It's not even real. It's like when a cloud goes over the sun. It's just there and then it's gone. There's not a I think that as we get older, there's not a lot of consequence to your anger. Nobody's getting punched anymore. Nobody's getting called out at a bar or on the field or wherever you are being angry. Um, you're really good at stopping yourself from getting to a point where something's going to happen that's going to change the course of your life.
Yeah, that might have happened today.
Yeah, you did. You were very strong. You were very self-aware, and we left a situation where, if it would have continued, you might have punched somebody to save your own honor, to save the honor of our children. So I was proud of you.
And our dojo.
In our dojo,
Dojo.
the judo dojo.
All right, let's talk about your relationships with people or your thoughts about how people perceive you. What's it like being your wife? I mean, what's it like, being your husband? I'm sorry.
Oh, maybe we could get another wife to help out around these adult household chores.
What is it? What do you think I think of you?
I think you think I'm a little nuts, a little moody, temperamental. I know you think I'm a really good mom. I know you think that I sell myself short a lot and that I could, be bigger than I allow myself to be, that I play it safe too much.
Yep, I do.
I know you think I'm pretty, funny, and smart. But yeah, I think if you had one wish for me, it would be to stop. I've played it safe my whole life. I always need to be sure that I'm going to succeed because I don't feel safe if I don't.
Yeah, that's what drew us together, by the way, because we're both that way
Yeah, right.
naturally.
We are. We're both play it safers.
What's it like being your child?
I think every night, both of these kids tell me that they love being my kid, and I say I love being your mom, and I think that they truly mean it.
Yeah,
We have an almost 17-year-old who talks to me for at least a half an hour a day about what he's going through, what his day is like. We have a 10-year-old who also does the same thing. They feel safe around me. If they don't tell me something right away, I eventually find out, and I don't have to snoop to get the answer.
What do you think they think about me?
I think that they don't feel as safe to bring their truth to you all the time, or they're feeling, it's funny because you are so much more emotional and you know moony and wet and emotional than I am, and they feel safer bringing that wet, emotional, moony part of them to me rather than you, which Nick is giving me a thumbs up right now.
What did they think I'm going to react poorly?
I think that they think that they're afraid to upset you, where I'm more even keeled and I'm a professional listener. I know how to actively listen. I know how to professionally listen. So I think that anything that they bring at me, um, I can look at it with like a smooth face and a quiet voice. They might not always get that from you.
Hmm. Do you think that they think I'm judgmental?
I yes, I think they probably do think you're judgmental. And even though I'm probably a lot judgier, I just have the 20 years of social services and public health work
Yeah.
backing me up that I've heard it all, I've seen it all, and I know how to hold my face. So you keep talking, so I get more information.
What's it like being your parent at this point in your life?
Um, I mean, I still think I don't think my parents struggle parenting me. I think my mom thinks that I'm uh, so much smarter than she is in a good way. I think she's proud of that.
Yeah.
I think that she thinks that I think that she's proud to watch me be a parent and be a woman. Um, my dad, we have different views on a lot of things, but I think that he's really good at finding a common ground with somebody, and I'm really good at finding a common ground with somebody, and I think we have a really nice relationship now. And I think that he looks, he just loves our kids to pieces. I think that he sees that you take care of me. He sees that we're safe. So I think that he's probably still pretty annoyed that you know, I'm still an ass. I mean, I'm still the same kid I've ever been. I'm sure that if he could change that about me, he would. But, I think they don't have to worry about me. I think they know that I'm gonna be okay.
How about being your brother? How's that?
My brother and I talk almost every single day. If we don't talk to each other, we at least, like, call each other and hang up on each other's voicemails, so, it's some sort of sign of life. I think that he likes being my brother. I like being his sister, we're good friends now.
If you could go back to tell 18-year-old Laura anything, what advice would you give her?
Be braver.
Expand on that.
Yeah, just do more stuff, don't be afraid of failing. I think that that's something that I've embraced, following the fear. If there's a I do improv comedy and there's Del Close, who's a famous improv coach, says, follow the fear. If it makes you uncomfortable, do it more. I think I've embraced that, especially in my career, because I am so confident in what I do and what I know. And I have the opportunity to mentor a lot of people and teach a lot of people. And one of the things I tell them is you don't be afraid to mess up, because the worst thing that's going to happen is you get to teach other people how to not mess up. If you can set your ego aside and just repeatedly fail, you get to teach hundreds and thousands of I mean, I've probably taught thousands of people now how to succeed at doing what it is that our team does. So, I wish that I would have known that back then, that even in your biggest failure, you can you can succeed and teach others how to succeed.
What is your favorite failure or your favorite mistake?
Our kids. I mean, they were surprises, and so, I mean, they're not failures, they're not mistakes, but I think my favorite mistake, everybody told us not to get married young, right? That maybe we shouldn't get married when we were as young as we were, but we
Yeah.
got married 24 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, so that was a good mistake that we made. And we did it because we're so stubborn and bullheaded that
Yeah.
when somebody tells us not to do something, we're gonna do it twice and make it legal.
Yeah.
It's
I think my dad actually told your dad that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, we're like we're so bullheaded, both of us. The minute you tell us not to do something, we're not good with authority.
What would 18-year-old Laura think of 46-year-old Laura?
I'd be surprised that I think that that person would be surprised that I work where I work. This wasn't part of the trajectory to I don't know what I thought I wanted to do, but I never would have thought that I would be working in infectious diseases and with the opportunity again to like teach and mentor all over the world. I got to go into Paris. I got to um, teach virtually, literally in like 6 or 7 different countries during the pandemic. Um, I've taught at least 1,000 medical students about hepatitis C and community activism and how to like treat people out in the world. So I think I'd be proud, surprised but proud.
What person or relationship has had the most impact on your life?
I think it depends on what aspect of my life. I just up until the other day, I had a boss who encouraged me to just do everything and anything and was, like, so amazing and supportive and encouraging. So, professionally, I think that it would be her, and will continue to be her. I don't think that that will ever change. I don't think that relationship will ever change. She'll always encourage me to be my best and tell me how smart and good I am. And it feels nice to be told that by somebody who's in charge of you. I think my grandfather, without my grandmother, I probably wouldn't have the education I have. I don't know. I mean, there's everybody, every single person who has ever. I have so many people that inspire me in so many ways.
You want to say anything more about your little life here? That's what I tell everybody I call
Life.
your little life.
Oh, I have a good little life.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's what you make of it. It's every day I wake up and think like, there's always things you could complain about, but I think that just finding the good in every single day, and even if you have to like micro look down at the smallest, tiniest things to find something beautiful. One of the things I do a lot is take pictures of flowers and bugs on flowers, and that's really just on my worst days. I like to look down and find little beautiful things, and then I like to take pictures of it so I can go back and look at those things. So just find the beauty in everything.
And you like to sometimes stop in the middle of city blocks and be weird and just
Oh,
take.
I am weird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, being I just am weird. I don't care, but
And then I keep walking and I'm like a block and a half away.
it's fine. I always find you.
All right, you ready for my 20 questions?
Yep.
All right. It's the Angry Dave podcast. I need to know what makes you angry.
Oh, what doesn't? I think when things don't go the way that I planned, or when really somebody hurts somebody else, that's what makes me angry. I think it's too short to hurt other people, but people do it every single day.
What makes you happy?
Everything. Just funny things, anything humorous, anything calm or warm, or my kids make me happy. Sitting still, and just really looking around makes me happy.
If you had one day or a day all to yourself, what would you do?
Just walk around town, or leave the city and walk around the woods. Just being by myself, and walking up and down the beach, walking through a path in the woods, or walking up and down the street. I wouldn't need anything but my 2 feet and a nice day.
What's most important to you?
My family. That stability, coming home at the end of the day and knowing everybody is safe and warm and happy and fed.
Can you tell us about a time you shit yourself?
Oh, it only happened once, and it was really nice. I had this, like, stomach flu, so I was all by myself, and it was like, when you're sick and you're sweaty and hot and you just don't feel, so I'm, like, sitting in my underwear and a tank top or something in bed, and I just all of a sudden felt like I wasn't sweating anymore, and I didn't have the chills, and I was so warm, and I didn't understand what had changed, and what happened, I pooped. I pooped right in my underpants in my bed, and, I kinda just sat there for a minute, and I was just enjoying the fact that I didn't feel horrible anymore, and then I was like, "Oh my god, I'm sitting in my poop," like, the reality sets in, and you have to jump up and, like, clean everything, and I think I just threw everything out because I'm not like, that there's no salvaging something that got pooped in. But
Was it warm?
it was warm and soft and nice, and it just stopped my stomach from hurting, and it
Mhm.
stopped my sweat, like, those cold sweats, and I was shaking, like, rigors, I was shaking so bad, and it all just stopped.
This is why you're my lady.
Like, it's not that I wanna do it again, but
Right,
I want that
right.
real every time I'm sick, I'm like, "God, if I could just poop myself, I'd feel so much better."
Do you have any embarrassing fart or piss stories?
No. No, I'm not really a farter. I mean, any more than anybody else. Like, it's not embarrassing to poop or pee 'cause we all do it.
Yeah, you have a weird thing about embarrassment.
I do. I'm not an embarrassed person. There's nothing I do outside the realm of normalcy, so why would I be embarrassed about being human?
What do you think the most unreasonable thing about you is?
How unpredictable I am. You never know what you're gonna get.
Explain that,
It's
please.
I mean, I
E
don't there's a
explain that for a prospective husband, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people there's some things that are constant that a lot of people don't like. Like, I don't like when the sun is out, and I don't like bacon, and I don't like chocolate.
Mm.
I don't like chili I like to be warm all the time. So, like, that's pretty constant that I don't like, and nobody likes that. Everybody can't believe that I don't like those things. But also, like, what makes me happy one day is gonna, kinda like I was talking about, like, I just I'm a pendulum. I just swing back and forth. So I think that that's probably
What do you think your best quality is?
I'm a really good listener. There's literally nothing anybody can tell me that I can't stand to hear at this point in my life. I do feel like I've heard most everything face to face from, you know, from people who are we talked about like reprehensible, horrible, deplorable people. I think I'm helpful. I think I'm funny. I think I have a really good sense of humor, and I think that I do pretty good in a moment of crisis as long as my kids aren't involved.
If you had to be a man for one day, what would you do?
Oh, I'd get a good job.
It's
I
one day, Laura.
Yeah, but then I'd go back the next day and I'd be like, "Yes, I am that guy." If I had to be a man for a day,
Yeah, one day.
I guess, like, pick up heavy things, maybe, like, move the couch. I don't think I'd do anything different.
You have any embarrassing drunk stories?
I mean, I've only been really drunk a couple times. I'm not embarrassed about it. There's that one time that you had to carry me out of a pizza shop over your shoulder. I
Mhm.
think you were embarrassed, but I was just fine.
Any stories about being drunk where you might somebody who's normal might be embarrassed? Yeah, the drunk story where you're yeah.
No, I don't know which one.
You wanted pizza, that's the one you're talking
Oh,
about.
it's all the same day.
Yeah.
That was a day where we were supposed to go to a barbecue that there happened to be no food at the barbecue because the people who owned the house couldn't figure out how to light a grill. I mean, it was just mayhem. So there's no food, and at that point, we were already drinking, like, triple strong margaritas. It was a bad idea. It was hot out that day. I just I mean, I was drunk. I was in my 20s, we didn't have kids, I didn't hurt anybody.
Oh, you're boring.
I know, I'm sorry. I wish I could think of something that I was embarrassed of that day. I remember waking up and not knowing if it was 9 AM or PM, like, I didn't know if I was late for work or if it was still
Yeah, that was only Sunday.
it was still the same day.
Yeah. Um, alright, number 12, I think we're on. Any, the best advice you ever got?
The best advice that I ever got was, um, I guess, follow the fear, right? That's the best advice I ever got, and if you're doing something that makes you uncomfortable, do more of it as long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you know it's good for you. Um Just keep doing it.
The worst advice you ever got?
Don't go to bed angry. That's the worst advice that anybody ever gives anybody. Please go to bed angry. You probably are just tired. Go eat something, get a big drink of water, and just go to bed. It's gonna be better in the morning. There's no use staying up and fighting or, like, nitpicking. I think that's, like, one of the secrets to our long relationship.
Uh, what is something that you thought was true that turned out to be ridiculous later?
Everything.
What?
I think just, that I I think everything that we think is true as little kids or whatever, the fact that, like, even that the world is this big scary place, that's not true. The world is so small and it's not scary. Most people are good. Anything that we were ever told to, like, keep us in line, to kinda, like, scare us into being good or the Santa's watching kind of stuff,
Yeah.
it's just not true. Just do what you can, live as big as you can, and, just take care of each other.
How about people telling you that, babies are the most joyous time
Oh,
of year?
that's a lie. It's like misery loves company. They're terrible. Babies are just terrible, especially you're so exhausted, you're so tired, you don't know what they want, they don't speak.
If you could change one thing about the world, what would it be?
I would just want everybody to have enough food in their bellies, to have a warm, soft place to sleep at night, and just get rid of that fear and mistrust that we have of each other.
How about an everyday struggle for you?
Morning is a struggle. My everyday struggle is, I wish that there's more hours in the day. I feel like I never have enough time to do everything I want to do. And not being frustrated. It's hard to wake up in the morning and then have to, like, get everybody up and out of the house and then get to work and then get everything from work done and then come home and feed everybody, and then you're just so exhausted. I just struggle with not having enough time to do the things that I wanna do for myself.
If you were ever arrested, what would me or your friends think happened?
My mouth. I think that everybody would think that I lost it on, like, a police officer or something.
I think that's probably accurate.
Yeah, I don't do too much that's illegal. I don't do I mean, maybe like a right on red sometimes, but, it would be me feeling like somebody was trying to tell me what to do, and I lost it on them.
Are you self-conscious about anything?
Is this a
Wh
trick question? I don't feel like I am.
No, what are you self-conscious about, if anything?
I don't think I'm really self-conscious. Sometimes, like, I do have caught myself as a mother when the kids are acting a certain way. I don't want people to think that I'm, like, a bad mom or, like today, we we went out for lunch and the one of the kids ordered a soda, and I'm like, "Oh god, kids and soda is just so trashy." And then she brought him a big one instead of the kids one, and then she, like, refilled it, but she asked me if it was okay that I refilled it, and I'm like, "If I say yes, she's just gonna think I'm such a trash monster." It's just I think just stuff like that, like, when one of our kids had a cavity, I was a little self-conscious 'cause the bad mom stuff, that's what I'm self-conscious about. I think it's 'cause I try so hard to be I just work hard at being a really good mom that when something like that happens, that's my insecurity.
Do you cry at movies?
I did it one. Did I try I think I cried at Coco, but that might be the only one.
Who cries at movies more?
You cry. Remember we watched Steel Magnolias when we were, like, teenagers and you
I
just
do.
lost it with oh, poor Shelby.
I'm a crier.
You are a crier, you're very wet.
Except for, like, when real shit happens, I don't cry about that, but
No, I'm not much of a crier.
yeah, I saw you cry once when your cat died.
Yeah, that was the worst day of my life.
What was your worst mistake? Anything?
My worst mistake. Yeah, there's some things I regret. Like, when my grandmother was really old and sick, I was at home and I didn't go see her just because, like, the last time I did see her, she was pretty delusional. She thought my brother and I were my mom and dad. She's really confused, and I think she got embarrassed that she was confused. And I thought at the time I didn't want to put her through the confusion and the embarrassment that she felt because of the way she looked and the way that her brain was working at the time, but I do wish that I would have gone in even if she didn't know it was me.
Yeah, I shied away from my grandmother at the end of her life as well. I feel bad about that now, but I'm not good at that hospital thing and stand and watch. I call it stand and
Yeah.
watch thing, like, I can't do anything here, and half the time they're incoherent. The one time I went to my grandmother, she was remember she wanted water and she couldn't have it because she was aspirating and
Yeah.
fucking fighting with me over the ice. Jesus, horrible.
Yeah, I think I'd be different now. I think I have, like, a lot of maturity now that I didn't have
Yeah.
10 years ago, whenever that was. But now that's one of the things I regret. But there's not much else.
What celebrity should play you in a movie and why?
Drew Barrymore.
Hmm.
I think we kind of look alike and we kind of have the same, like, sense of humor, and we're about the same age. I can't think of anybody who would do better a better job. Everybody says I look like Amy Adams, so maybe her. Just, but I don't think that she has the same personality. We're not cut from the same personality cloth, I don't think.
If God exists, what would you like him or her to say to you when you reach the pearly gates?
Well, I would just like to say, I would like to hear, like, "Oh, well, come in. You're allowed here." I think that so many people are afraid of dying and afraid of like hell and that they wouldn't be accepted. And I just don't believe that anybody wouldn't be accepted. I mean, if there's like maybe hopefully Hitler wouldn't be allowed, but
Right.
yeah, just it's just a place where we can all go and like regroup. And if there's a such thing as like being reborn as a different person or animal or whatever, just like a place to rest for a little while and see the people you love before you jump back into another body.
When it's all over, what do you want people to remember you for?
I think making them feel safe, making them feel normal and seen, and giving them hope, and just having a good time.
What advice you have for me?
For you,
Yeah.
I think you need to take good care of your health. I think you need to sleep better.
Hmm.
I think you're pretty good at relaxing. But that's it. You're not young anymore.
You worry about my health?
I do worry. I worry about your health a lot
Why?
because I don't think that you eat well. I think you exercise a lot, and I don't think that you have good sleep hygiene.
Mm. It's the Italian meat thing.
Yeah, that's literally the most poisonous thing you can put in your body. It's
I love Italian meats.
so gross.
What advice do you have for your kids?
Just be happy. Don't follow any sort of career or education trajectory that other people tell you that you need. Just follow your head and your heart. Sometimes they're going to say the same thing, and sometimes they're going to say different things. But just don't do anything unless you want to do it, and just be happy.
If you didn't go into the career that you went into, what would be something else that you would have wanted to do?
I would love to work at like a nature center, be like a forest ranger or like a woods person, just kind of keeping the trails clean for everybody and making sure that like the kids that come through understand about where they're at and what kind of trees they're around and what bugs might be there and flowers and plants and like an outdoorsy kind of person.
I think that's all I got for you today. Oh, you know what? One more. Have you ever catch your parents having sex? Or
Never.
have you ever been caught having sex?
Never.
You ever pick your nose and eat it?
Oh yeah. So I used to love to do that when I was little. Probably about in kindergarten. Definitely it was kindergarten because I can like close my eyes and remember it was just so good, and like it tasted good. And my mom said if you do that you'll get sicker than a dog. And our dog had just died. So I thought that if you ate your boogers, you would die. So every other kid who I'd catch eating their boogers at like recess or back in the coat room or whatever at kindergarten, I'd be like, "You're gonna die if you eat those. You're gonna die like a dog." And my kindergarten teacher got really up. Mrs. Nemec, her name was Mrs. Nemec, is like, "What are you talking about? This is no way to treat the other children." But I stopped eating my boogers because I thought I was gonna die like my dog.
What else you got? You got anything else?
I think so. I think, I mean, you could ask me questions, I'll answer all day.
Yeah. Oh, I know. What do you think? Oh, what do you think about me as my career person? What's your advice for me in my career?
Your career. Don't let the bastards get you down. There's always gonna be jerks at work, and there's always gonna be things you don't like.
Yeah.
Um, just when you see people, see them if they're acting a certain way, kind of like wonder why they might be hurting that day or why they might be hurting kind of like long term. I mean, you've always been in these fields that are just full of assholes and like egomaniacs.
Yeah.
And just know that they're insecure and they feel like little tiny people, even if they have big bodies and big educations and big heads. So just kind of be patient with them and say like, I'm the bigger, better person, even though you're such a little dick. And just be patient with the people who really rub you the wrong way.
What advice do you have for me as a parent?
Um, Sometimes you need to compromise doing what you like to do just to spend time with your kids if they like to do it. It's just because you don't if they like to do whatever it is that they like to do, just do it with them. whether you like it or not. I think you're pretty good at that, but sometimes not always.
All right. Well,
I have a question for you. Did you learn anything about me today?
oh, you know what? That's a question that I forgot that I wanted to ask. Tell me something that you think that I might not know about you.
I think I'm mysterious. I think there's a lot that you don't know about me. Something you don't know about me is, I don't know. I think that you might not know that I love to, like, just keep weird lists. You know, sometimes, like, I'll even just, like, list all the things that I'm looking at just so I can, like, write in a notebook. It feels really good to me to put pen on paper and write things. Um, something I don't know that you know that I'm planning on having, these kind of, like, retreats somewhere, whether they be at, like, our house in New Jersey or in a hotel where I can bring it's talked about it a little bit, like, bring people together who are caregivers and really give them a chance to express themselves and relax and play, and, um, I don't know if you know that. I mean, I may have mentioned that to you,
Yeah, I
but
know it, but
oh, alright, well, let me think of something else
it's
then.
adorable though.
Yeah, I just think we don't have that kind of opportunity as grown-ups, and I wanna give that to people.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. How about how about just something that or you like to do or you like to think about that is private that I don't really know about?
Hmm.
Anything?
No, I feel like we're, like,
Any secret diary items? I mean, I don't wanna, you don't have to.
something secret about me that you don't know.
When you really are mad at me, what do you call me? A
A
dickhead?
dickhead, yeah.
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah, I think so. He's such a little dickhead.
yeah. And you tell your girlfriends that? Just
No,
kidding.
I don't do that. I hate when women talk about their husbands or their boyfriends or their wives or girlfriends or whatever, and, like, I just think it's so gross to badmouth your partner to other people. I would never do like, I think that's where my ego is I would never talk bad about you to anybody else.
Yeah, it seems weird, right?
Yeah, it's really weird to me. I would rather them think that we're, like because I don't have a lot of problems. Like, I don't have these, like I don't hate you. I'm not annoyed by you. I just don't understand why they, like, wreck their partners through the dirt to each other.
So I'm gonna tell this little story real quick. I came to home to Lora one day. I was working at this law firm, and me and the 2 partners were having lunch quite often, and lunch really just consisted of them talking shit about their wives the whole time, and I started to fall into that trap, and I start making shit up about her.
What'd you say about me?
I don't know, that you were annoying or some shit.
I am annoying. That's not
I mean,
that's not made up.
yeah, I know. But then I came home that day and I'm like, "Talk shit about you or at work." You remember that?
Vaguely. I mean, I remember you saying that they just wreck their wives the whole time.
Yeah. And it was uncomfortable. And I stopped doing it and they were like, "I guess you like your wife." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I do." And I guess that's where we'll end this podcast. Thank you for being on it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I love you,
I love you too.
but more importantly, I like you.
Yeah, I like you too.
And to everybody out there, I think that that's the most important thing. It's easy to love people when you've been with each other for almost 3 decades. It can become difficult to like each other if you don't work at it. And Laura and I do work at it, and I'm certainly not perfect. And I've made a lot of mistakes in the relationship. I love her and like her, and I'm glad that she was on my podcast. So until next time, and you guys will probably stop listening to this shit now because it was fucking mushy, but I'm out. Peace.